Hi, I'm attorney Greg Dell, and today I'm here with Stephen Jessup, and we wanted to talk to you about the Liberty Mutual Disability Insurance Company. Now, in the past couple months, we've handled probably 50 to 100 Liberty Mutual claims, and that is basically an increase from what we've been seeing, prior to that. And what do you think is going on recently with Liberty Mutual that's bringing about this increase in claim denials?
Well, I think it may be twofold. One, you're seeing an increase in, I think, number of policies. It seems that they're getting a better foothold in writing policies for more companies. And on the second side of that, you're starting to see more restrictive language with respect to 24-month limitations for non-verifiable symptom conditions and a host of other things. So I think they're starting to pigeonhole a lot more claims, which are leading to more denials.
And I'm seeing a lot of short-term disability claims, especially on the denial side. Why do you think we're seeing more short-term disability denials than necessarily the long-term?
I think it may be just a factor of sheer volume of number of new clients that they're servicing. Also, obviously you're probably never going to find it anywhere in their claims handling manuals or claim files. But typically, they are not the underwriter on the short-term disability. The employer is going to be footing the bill for your benefit. And when it goes over to long-term, then it's going to be Liberty Mutual who underwrites the policy, who's going to pay the benefit. So it's almost like they're trying to set the tone early on, maybe to dissuade people from continuing to pursue the benefit. If they deny them in short-term, sometimes people are like, well, I just don't want to deal with this. Maybe I'll go back to work at this point and just let it go.
In terms of your experience in working on Liberty Mutual claims, how often do you see that they rely upon a medical doctor to either examine the claimant or review the file prior to a claim denial?
I think it depends on the actual stage or what's at stake with the claim, maybe the complexity of it. It's not uncommon to see a nurse case manager be the one that authorizes the denial for the initial denial. But then after the fact, when it's going through the appellate stage and going through administrative appeal, you'll see an independent peer review doctor. And I've had personally in more cases than normal, I'd say in the past year, where they do send them off to an independent medical evaluation as part of that review process. But those things, when you really see doctors' reviews, a lot of times that's kind of happening in the appeal stage.
Compared to other companies, where do you put the level of scrutiny that Liberty Mutual puts into a disability claim?
One thing I noticed about Liberty, in my opinion, they don't necessarily have an MO like, say, a Hartford would. Sometimes you'll see video surveillance. You'll see lots of background investigations. They're looking at social media pages. They're really kind of getting into it, sending out for multiple reviews. So it's really kind of a hit or miss. There's not a usual pattern that you can see, which I think also makes it a little more difficult as the insured to know what to maybe expect when it comes to dealing with them in the monthly claims handling and things of that nature.
Now, do you think it seems like you're indicating that there's somewhat of a randomness to their reviews? You don't see a lot of consistency in the way they're reviewing claims?
I mean, I wouldn't say random. I'm sure there's some type of protocol they do follow with it. But, for instance, with Hartford, if they're doing video surveillance and they have a field interview, they're going to set you up for a denial. Liberty doesn't have so many simple, easy-to-go steps. It may just be, hey, we're looking for updated medical records. Medical records are sent in. They have a nurse review it and say, well, the doctor said they could do X, Y, and Z. So that means they can work and the claim's denied. So it's really, they don't seem to follow necessary patterns that you may see with other insurance companies.
How about the average dollar values you see for the Liberty Mutual claims in terms of monthly benefits?
I think it varies across the board too, depending on, obviously where your role is in the company. And since they're representing and insuring much larger corporations, now that runs the gamut from line, workers up to, the high level. So it can really get up there. I don't think I've seen too many Liberty Mutual policies that have a maximum benefit that go beyond $15,000 a month. But you do see where they will get that high.
And you talked earlier about restrictions and limitations, and you and I both agree that Liberty has one of the more restrictive policies. And what is it about those policies that make them restrictive?
Well, the most common, obviously, is a 24-month limitation for mental health conditions and substance abuse. Now you're starting to see what they call their non-verifiable symptoms, which is attacking your chronic fatigues, your fibromyalgia. Sometimes they even have a chronic fatigue syndrome limitation. It's also going to cover Epstein-Barr and a handful of other conditions, environmental based conditions. So depending on what the employer wants to pay premiums on, you may see all these contained in a policy, which, but for it seems a handful of really serious medical conditions, would never get you past 2 years of benefits.
And in terms of, I know you've handled a lot of appeals with them, but also what's your experience been in filing lawsuits against them throughout the country?
I think they will actively litigate. The defense attorneys that they hire are definitely qualified. In situations where we get the case after the appeals have been done and it's only up for litigation, and you take a look at what should have been done, what could have been done, and not having the opportunity to do that, their defense attorneys, in my experience, are very, very good at being able to systematically show where your claim's essentially lacking, and under the applicable standard of review, the chance of success for liberty. So they do kind of come in with the posturing of, we think we can win this one, and they really push that issue and drive it home.
And when you're working on an appeal for somebody who's been denied by Liberty Mutual, where do you feel that you offer the most assistance?
I think it's just actually documenting everything going on. A doctor, you can tell your doctor all your problems, and the doctor can say they agree that you need to be out on disability, but a lot of times when you get the records, that's not necessarily in there. Or certain portions of a doctor's note where it's standardized when they're doing a review of the systems and they just clicking off boxes, that can contradict what's in the written. So it's really just organizing the information, and if something's lacking, trying to find those pieces and parts to really, solidify the claim. And if you dig deep enough in the claim file, you read between the lines, you read the reports, you can find exactly what information needs to be there to, it's almost like a big chess game of trying to counter move what they're arguing, what they may argue on the appeal.
And in terms of claimants who call you who are considering filing, or they're on short-term transitioning into long-term, do you help those people?
Yes, I mean, one of the big things I tell people, especially as we briefly discussed, short-term, if it's coming out of your employer's pocket, your benefit, insurance companies usually aren't, that's why aren't usually as concerned as when it starts coming out in the long-term. The number, the 2 times you're most likely to get denied is when you're transitioning to long-term, or at the end of your occupational period. So you really, from the get-go, if this is something that's in short-term, it's going to go into a long-term, you want to set yourself up for initial success. And if it's going to go beyond a 24-month, you want to start that claim early on to make sure it's going to have longevity beyond that point as well.
All right. Well, I know that all of our lawyers are available to offer a free initial phone consultation, whether it's an application, an appeal, or a lawsuit, or even sometimes Liberty Mutual might engage in a lump sum buyout of a claim. Give us a call. We can help you anywhere in the country, and we look forward to speaking with you.